In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to implement wake word detection in a React Native project using PicoVoice's Porcupine wake word detection engine. Before we get started, I want to first show you what we'll have built by the end. We'll have a super simple application that just listens for two keywords, computer and bumblebee. Let's start up the Android emulator. Computer, bubblegum, bumblebee. Alright, now let's get into the implementation. Here we just have a boilerplate React Native project. The React Native version that we're going to be using is 0.83.1, which requires a minimum node version of 20. So we're going to be using a node version of 22. The first thing we need to do is to install the required packages. So navigate to the Porcupine wake word React Native Quick Start docs and scroll down to the setup section. We're going to be installing two packages, Voice Processor and Porcupine. Voice Processor handles capturing microphone audio and passing that audio to Porcupine, which of course handles the actual wake word detection. So copy that command and paste that into your terminal. Now that we have the required packages installed, we can go ahead and start coding. So I'm going to begin by importing Porcupine Manager and built-in keywords. Porcupine Manager is a high-level class that handles both audio recording and wake word detection for you. And built-in keywords are a collection of keywords that are available so you don't have to train a custom keyword yourself. But if you need to train a custom keyword, Porcupine also supports that. And we have a dedicated tutorial on how to do that will link in the description below. Next, we need an access key from PicoVoice console. Head over to console.picovoice.ai and create an account. Once you have an account, you can log in and find your access key on the main dashboard. Click copy to copy your access key. It's very important that you keep your access key private. Back in VS Code, store this access key in a .env file. Make sure that this file is not checked into version control. Also create this declaration file and export your access key. Now we can actually write the code to initialize Porcupine. First, we're going to create this Porcupine Manager ref object that we'll use to store the instance of Porcupine that we initialize. It's going to use ref from React, so we need to import that. Then we're going to write the function to initialize Porcupine. This one calls an async method, so we need an async keyword. And then we'll just do a try catch to catch any possible errors. And to keep it simple, we're just going to log out any errors that might happen. Now to initialize Porcupine, we can either initialize using a custom keyword or multiple custom keywords or built-in keywords. For this tutorial, to keep things as simple as possible, we'll just use the built-in keywords. This method takes in 3 arguments. The first one is your access key, so we need to import that as well. Pass it in. And the second argument is a list of keywords using the built-in keywords that you want to listen for. So let's create an array to hold those keywords. You can pass in 1 or more. So we'll just demonstrate 2, and let's use computer. and Bumblebee. So let's also pass in those keywords. And the last argument that you need is a detection callback function. So this function is what's going to be called when a keyword is detected. And it takes in one argument, which is the index of the keyword that was detected. For now, we'll just log it out and pass that in. So for example, if we're using these two keywords and you say Bumblebee and that was detected, then keyword detection callback is going to return 1 because that's the index of Bumblebee. Let's track the detected keyword using state. Now all we need to do is write functions to start and stop wake word detection. This start function basically starts audio capture on your microphone and starts passing that audio to Porcupine for wake word detection. And the stop just stops capturing audio from your microphone and stops wake word detection. The last function that we need to implement is the delete function. This function is not async, so you can get rid of that async keyword, as well as the try catch. And then we'll call it delete. The delete method basically releases resources acquired by Porcupine Manager, and we're going to call it explicitly using this function so that it's clear when we're calling it. But depending on your application logic, you can also wrap this in some cleanup function like a use effect or a component will unmount. Next, we'll just add some really basic UI to show which wake word has been detected, and we'll also add the buttons that we'll use to call each of these functions. The last thing we need to implement is some sort of state management. We're going to be using 4 states. So the first state is initial, which basically represents the initial state of the application before Porcupine gets loaded. Ready is after Porcupine gets initialized. Listening is when wake word detection is active, and busy is any loading states in between. It's good practice to use state management so that, for example, we don't call start before Porcupine has finished initializing. Then we're going to disable buttons so that you can only click certain buttons based on what state Porcupine is in. So for example, you can only start listening after Porcupine has finished initializing. This setup makes it so that you can only initialize Porcupine if it hasn't already been initialized. You can only start listening when Porcupine has finished initializing and it's not in a busy state anymore. And you can only stop listening if you are currently listening. And you can call delete to free resources anytime. Next, we need to enable the proper permissions for audio capture. So for Android, go to your Android manifest.xml file, navigate back to the Quick Start docs, scroll down and find this section. For Android, copy the record audio block and paste it into Android manifest.xml. And for iOS, copy the whole block and navigate to your info.plist file. And you can place this anywhere. Finally, let's test our application on an Android emulator. Bumblebee, computer, Bumblebee. And there you have it, wake word detection on Android with React Native. To run our application on iOS, we need to change the iOS deployment target. Since we're using React Native version 0.83.1, that version comes with a deployment target of iOS 15.1. And at the time of making this video, our React Native package requires an iOS version of 16 plus. So to change the iOS deployment target, we need to change in Xcode the deployment target to iOS 16. And then back in VS Code, navigate to your pod file and change the min iOS version supported to 16 as well. And then we'll do a pod install. And start the application. Bumblebee, computer, and there you have it on iOS. And that's all it takes to integrate wake word detection into your React Native project. For more complete implementation details, refer to the official Porcupine React Native documentation. You can check out the Quick Start guide to help you get started quickly, and also use the API docs for a more complete reference. You can also refer to the Porcupine project on GitHub, which includes complete demo applications you can run for React Native, as well as for all other supported platforms. You can find all of these links in the description. Thanks for watching and happy building!